What's going on? Where have you been?
Where have I been? Okay. So I was on the fence if I was going to tell this story or if I was going to wait for a little while. And I decided I'm going to tell it now for two reasons. And in a minute, I will get into what those two reasons are.
Hmm.
But I'm going to start by saying if you are a longtime viewer of this podcast, you might remember that in November of 2018, my father passed away. At the time I talked about it on this podcast, I showed the trailer for the documentary that I
Yes.
produced about my parents at the time. And so I was pretty public about it. What I have never talked about before publicly in a live setting like this, and I never even told Sean about this, is that 5 months after my dad passed away, so it was in April of 2019, my sister was diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma.
Oh,
I have one sister, 3.5 years older than me. Her name's Sherry. She was diagnosed with melanoma, and she battled for 15 months. And on July 6th, 3 weeks ago, she lost her fight.
I'm so
And
sorry.
so the reason that I've been absent from this podcast is I've been spending a lot of time away. I've been spending a lot of time at home, visiting with her, visiting with my mother. Obviously, in about a year and a half, you lose your father and your sister.
Sure.
Been a bit of a difficult period, but I decided to talk about this for two reasons now. The first reason is that if my sister's story could even help one person, and if it could potentially save even one life, then I think it's a story that I should tell.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about it for that reason. And in my sister's case, her diagnosis started with a mole on the small of her back.
Hmm.
She had a mole in a place where she just never noticed it. And we imagine over time it probably changed color, it probably changed shape. Never noticed it, not until it started to bother her. And by the time she got it checked out, the cancer had gotten into her blood, and it had spread to different parts of her body. And so that's what we had to deal with. So my first message is, if you have a mole anywhere on your body, especially one of significance, keep an eye on it. And even if you think that you're being paranoid and I just think maybe it's changing, but it's not, get yourself checked out because it could save your life. So that's
Yes.
the first thing that I want to say. The second thing I want to say is, I mentioned that I did that documentary. I did that documentary because I wanted to create a keepsake for my family and especially for my kids. I wanted them to have something where years down the road they could look back and see who their dad's parents were. That's the reason that I did it. But something else came out of that, and I'm referring to it as a unintentional byproduct of doing that documentary. I found that it really helped me to cope with the grief I was dealing with at the time and the stress I was dealing with at the time, and ultimately the loss that I was dealing with. I felt that it helped me to talk about it, and it helped me to channel the negativity into something positive.
Hmm.
So when my sister was diagnosed, I sought out something similar. I sought out some kind of an outlet. I wanted to do something for the same reason. I wanted to do something to help me channel that grief into something positive. And what I've just decided to do, and Sean knows this, I am creating my own charity organization. It's called Grappling with Grief. And what we are going to do is we are going to tell people stories. So we're going to tell people stories, true stories of coping with grief, coping with tragedy, not just physical illness, but mental illness too. And we're going to tell people stories of how they channeled those things into something positive. I'm going to be talking to Sean about his friend Cheyenne, who passed away from cancer. Sean grew out his hair for her. We hit up AEW and were able to get publicity for the haircut to help drive awareness and drive prevention, because that's something that I want to do. And there's a lot of other stories that I'm going to tell. I'm going to be adding content to it every week. So the website's not live yet, but what we do have live that I can start promoting now is we have our Twitter account live. I don't know if you can see this. That's the handle for the Twitter account right there.
At Grap Grief,
At
in case you all
Grap
can't
Grief.
see.
Yeah, GRAPGRIEF at Grap Grief. Now, one thing I got to say is, in order to be a legitimate charity, you have to have a tax number from the government. The government is very strict on this stuff because, as you can imagine, there's a lot of fraud with people
Sure.
claiming to have a charity when they don't. It's going to take me probably upwards of 12 months to
Hmm.
get a charity number. And so that means that for the next 12 months, I cannot solicit donations. I cannot accept donations financially. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to continue to, move forward with plans. I'm going to continue putting up content every week. Going to continue telling people stories. And I'm going to do that because even though I can't accept donations, I can still promote awareness. I can still promote
Of
prevention.
course.
And I can promote whatever the people whose stories I tell want to promote. If they have their own charity, anything that they're working on, we can promote that. So what you can do in the short term, even though you can't support us financially, if you follow us on Twitter, and again, I'll put it up here at Grappling, that will help us out. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, we don't have a custom URL yet because you need to have 100 subscribers to get a custom URL.
Yeah.
We just launched and I haven't promoted it yet. And so we don't have 100 subscribers. So if you will follow us on Twitter and if you will subscribe to us on YouTube, then I can get the custom URL and that will help us promote things further. But that's the story, man. So that's why I've been away. And again, thanks to Denise for filling in for me. And Sean, I did not tell. I don't know if you knew this because a lot of my office knew because I posted something on my personal Facebook page about it. And my office got wind of it. So I don't know if you knew. And I apologize that I didn't. Oh, you didn't know? Okay. I apologize I didn't tell you. But I didn't tell you because, number one, it's not something I'm talking about with a lot of people. But number two, I love getting Sean's live reactions whenever we do this podcast.
This?
Well, just in general, I like getting genuine reaction, to anything. And so that's why I prefer to not give a heads up.
Stories are one thing. A relative passed away. You wanted my reaction to that?
Okay, I'm not going to lie. It was not at the forefront of my mind. I should call Sean.
Sure.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, thanks.
So,
but yeah, I mean, I'm glad to have you back, and I'm sorry to hear about that. And I'm happy to be a part of this, and I know that the people that watch our show will be happy to support it as well. That's heavy, man. Tough.
Yep.
It
sucked. It
dick
did.
pill ad on this same show.
It's okay. It's okay. No, I mean, obviously it's something that you don't think of, right? I mean, my father was almost 81, so in his case, he had a good long life. My sister was 49.
Yeah.
So that's something that you don't anticipate, but I'm going to make sure that I honor her legacy. Her and my father are the two inspirations for creating this charity.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go full bore on it. Like, I'm going to really put effort into it. And like I said, we already have some content up. So if you go to our YouTube or our Twitter, we have some content up, and I'm going to continue producing content every week and putting something up new every week. And we're going to tell people stories and, like I said, promote awareness and prevention, and that's it.
That's one of the reasons I'm very happy to work here and work with Fightful. I can tell you that I've worked with some places, and the thought of charity or giving back or anything like that was never broached. And I see you specifically doing that often. Our friend Wild Boy, I mean, not just you, but a lot of our viewers got together and helped him out. And like there's been a lot of that. And Throwback, who's been in the chat, I see him constantly giving back to people. So that is the type of environment that I like to help foster for Fightful, and I appreciate the fact that you're doing that. And I mean, guys, definitely support that, and quite frankly, your story might end up being told on this platform as well. I would imagine there's plenty of there's plenty of different things and ways to approach that, but I'm glad.
I'm not gonna lie. I am definitely gonna utilize your Twitter following, Sean. Not gonna lie, but no. I mean, obviously, I am gonna utilize Fightful social media presence to a degree, but I'm kind of at the same time looking beyond. Yeah. So I just kind of want to get the word out and start reaching out to people, because there are a lot of stories out there of people who have dealt with grief in their lives and channeled it into something good. So I just want to tell those stories. I already did one with Anshul, a girl that you know.
Yeah.
I interviewed her, and that's the first interview that I have up there right now. Her story is unbelievable.
Yes.
So you check out her story, but that's the kind of stuff that I want to talk about, because I'm not alone in what I've dealt with. Anshul's not alone in what she's dealt with. Wild Boy's not alone in what he's dealt with.
Yeah.
And so I want to do this to kind of just help people cope.
Yeah.
Maybe help them heal, and maybe inspire them to channel it into something good as well. That's kind of the goal.